So, welcome to JM Unleashed. I see we've got Snooks, Niels Han Dynasty. Um, who are the others? We had some other good commenters in here for sure. Astra Strauss was in here, put in some good comments. Welcome in, everybody. So, now this is a follow up live stream. We're covering more comments, and these all came in from my last live stream. There was one comment that I've got after reviewing about 250, between 250 and 300 comments. I finally got one comment that attempted to justify the massacre of these ostriches and attempted to justify the cruel nature in which it was instigated. I did link, I put a link to that pinned in the top of the chat and in the description of this very live stream, so you can go and see what that comment was. I may very well reference it later on, but I wanted to highlight that. I did it as a standalone video because I do like to be objective here, and I appreciate everybody's opinion. But I've got to tell you, by and far, the vast majority of the comments that I've been getting here are people that are very, very upset, and I think it just shows, there's over a 99% ratio of people that are really upset about this and think that it was done in a wrong manner, relative to less than 1% that feel that it's justified. And so I did want to still include that 1%. Once again, it's linked in the description of this live stream, and it's pinned at the top of the live chat. We've also got Crafty Stacker in the house. Hey, Crafty Stacker. Now, just like last time, I may not be able to get to all the comments in the live stream as we proceed here, but I will try to toggle back and forth. I want to get through all these comments from the last live stream, which was approximately 5 days ago. So, here we go. From Boogie Juggy. Boogie Juggy says, oh, hold on a second. I got to just do one thing here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Now we're good. Boogie Juggy says, all lies, all BS. Decades of this now. We're broke. But why? Canada is a mess. Hundreds of billions stolen out of Alberta and Saskatchewan, British Columbia, Ontario since the 1960s and 1970s. Equalization. Quebec takes over 50% every year, became entrenched in his commie charter. Quebec Communist Pierre Trudeau's Constitution of 1982. Not to be confused with Justin. He's citing Pierre Trudeau here in the Constitution of 1982. Since then, 25 years of Liberal governments have made things worse. 18 years of Conservative governments, the exact same thing. Quebec's charter equals tens of billions stolen out of Ottawa yearly and funneled into Quebec. And other Métis, they're not French, in brackets, towns and companies all across the country every year, all disguised as grants, subsidies, equalization, transfers, bilingualism, which is code for French. Just ignore that siren. We get that a fair amount here. I'm near Toronto, for anyone that doesn't know. Only outside Quebec, while Quebec bans our language, history, Bills 22, 178, 101, and 96. Multiculturalism, only outside Quebec. Massive government growth, control, censorship, surveillance, taxes, and debt. Canada now just liberals masquerading as conservatives. The rest, communists masquerading as liberals. French power in all provinces. They're revising, eliminating our BNA history all over the country as they remove all things English, Scottish. Election fraud? Yes, guaranteed. Why? Simple. They lie about everything. Welcome to Marxist Commie Canada, where your vote is meaningless. Why? Bigoted equals socialist equals Marxist equals commie equals Quebec runs the nation. Wow, that is an extreme comment. I get the feeling though. Where did we go here? This is the problem, and no party, no leader will touch it. Conservative Polyev, Ford, nothing, not a word. First Quebec and Ottawa, and then the entire country. French Power, PET, money. Seriously, how do we get these lying, crooked, corrupt, greedy, Métis bigots out of Ottawa? Queen's Park. We have no other vote, no one to vote for. Liberal, Tory, same old story. Wow, this guy's even rhyming. Great comment. Stop all immigration now. Repeal the Commie Quebec Charter. Deport now. Kick Quebec out equals fix Canada or break up Canada. Anybody? Somebody help. The commie fascist takeover of Canada and when it began. Proof, context. And then there's a link there, which I left in there. Wow, that was a long comment. Let's see who else we've got in here. We've got C4 in here. Hey, C4. Welcome in, Peanut. Who else did I miss? I said hi to Crafty Stacker. Good to see everybody. So yeah, like that hits on a whole lot of points. A lot more than just the points of the ostriches. But it definitely takes a sledgehammer to the foundation of what they would like us to believe. So that's a great comment. I'm going to give that a heart and a thumbs up. And we'll reply to that saying, I'm replying to your comment. And I got this way of replying to people from Salivate Metal. Great precious metals channel on YouTube. If you guys are not connected with Salivate Metal, you're missing out. I'm replying to your comment on a live stream right now. Here. And then we'll drop the link for this live stream in there. And then we'll keep going. Yeah, it's right here. There we go. Great comment. Lots to think about there. Wow, like that's a lot to unpack. And I'm not trying to come across as an expert. What I'm trying to do is just share the information and let people see what's going on. William Gregoire says, BS, tell the truth. And Jan Bonecamp replies, so what is the truth? And I always get a kick out of it when people try to call other people out and then they just ghost them all. But that's okay. Maybe there will be another comment later on. Like sometimes YouTube can be glitchy too, right? So, and I noticed that even with the comment that I pinned at the top of the link there, at the top of the chat, that person edited and then removed the comment and then put it back in. So sometimes it's glitchy and sometimes things just happen. But thank you for the comment there, William Gregoire. Why didn't that work? Hold on a second, guys. Because I have to do that. We'll try this again. There we go. Much better. Welcome in, Indy. Did I say hi to everybody else? Did I miss anybody? Is my audio okay? I think it is, or I'd see some comments saying it's not. Thanks everybody for coming out. We're going through, so these are comments from the last live stream that I did, which was comments from the original live stream. So this is now the third one. And I'm getting more and more responses from people. I've still, after reviewing over 250 comments, I've still only received one that attempts to justify how and why these ostriches were maybe a little bit low on the audio. Okay, thanks. How and why they were massacred in the way that they were. And I pinned the link to that at the top of chat and in the description. Okay, so on the one end, I attempted to raise my audio level a little bit, and I'm going to try to raise it a little more right here. Okay, so we should be golden now, even if you're just on a cell phone or smartphone. Should be getting it. Okay, so far we've got through what, 2 or 3 comments? We've got about 150 more to go, but I would encourage you guys to click on that link and just review that. You can even do it while I'm reading these comments, and you'll see the only source of justification I've heard so far. So now, the Silver Lady 1980 says, God sees all, and Jesus' kingdom is coming to judge the entire earth. Jesus has the power to restore life. Jesus will battle Satan, and all evil will be gone. Read your Bibles. Listen to the good news knocking at your door. Jesus sent his good news out 2 by 2 to declare his kingdom. Good news. 1 John 2:17, 1 John 5:19, Revelation 12:7-12, Revelation 11:8, and Matthew 24:14. So now that's another thing. Like, I'm not one of these people that can just throw out books of the Bible and give you quotes from them and everything. I've done my fair share of reading and studying the Bible, but man, some of these people, just off the top of their head, study this Bible. I know a few people, including Joe Norman, who's read multiple different versions of the Bibles and multiple different versions many, many times. I think Peanut's right up there too, the Nut House. So thank you very much, Silver Lady, and I also appreciate the sentiment there of, to me, I kind of took it as staying positive and having faith. Where was it in here? Listen to the good news, right? Focus on what's good. We don't want to focus on what's evil all the time, and that's, part of the reason I took almost a week to get back to these comments. I don't want to be focusing on it day by day, but I do want to address these comments. So, well done, Silver Lady. Here we've got one comment that had a bunch of replies. I just want to get back here. Hey, Steve-O. We've got Steve-O in the house. Yeah, lots of good people in here. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We're going through more comments regarding the massacre of these ostriches. So now, D.I. Feekings, or Defeekings, says the ostriches paid with their lives because the owners contracted with the government to use them for research. And okay, so my mistake. This is actually the second comment that I saw, and I forgot about this one. That attempts to justify the reason why they were killed. Now, this does not attempt to justify the way that it was done and for them to be massacred. It simply says the ostriches paid with their lives because the owners contracted with the government to use them for research. And I do think that there's something to that. Anytime we sign up with the government for their assistance, for their oversight, for their blessing, there's always going to be some fine print in there, and I do think that there's something to that. But I would have to do more research on that, and we'll see what comes out with it. And sure enough, Nun says, I'm going to call you out on that one. You're going to have to give me proof. Actually, let's let this guy know that we're replying and that we're live, and then maybe these people will come in and elaborate, right? So Yukon Sal says they applied, but were turned down after turning over the research. So here we go. The order to call came soon after, and now the contract has been awarded to a bio company in Quebec. There were many missing ostriches. Some estimates put it at close to 100 birds, most of them hens. Where did they go? And I heard that too, that a lot of the ratio of male to female birds was different before the CFIA came in, relative to the ratios of male to female that were killed and male to female that are sort of accounted for at this point. So Yukon Sal goes on to say, where did they go? A large white truck that pulled out of the farm at 3:30 in the morning. Shortly thereafter, people were noticing there were fewer birds. All attempts to get a count were stymied by the CFIA. Yeah, very, very little transparency. Refused to have any contact with the farmers regarding their concerns. Then they steal the eggs, which were the whole point of the program. This is more than suspicious, more than fishy. This is criminal. Yep. I think so too. But again, there is that caveat. You know, you got to be careful when you are signing up with governments. Catherine says, do you have any proof that the owners contracted with the government? Seems hard to believe. So what the previous commenter said was that they actually did, but then they pulled out of it. Or that original contract was dissolved, effectively. That's the effect that I'm getting from that. Hey, Shadow Work. We've got Shadow Work in the house. We've got Ann Garvey in here. Welcome in, everybody. We're going through... I got about another 150 comments from the last live stream on this. And so we've now got, out of approximately 250 comments, we've got 2 that in one way or the other attempt to justify what happened here. And I pinned the link to the most elaborate one. It's pinned at the top of the chat and in the description as well. Okay. Charlotte LaFleche says, why do you think God chose ostriches in particular? Because it represents Canadian liberals. This sounds interesting. Overview. Ostrich, head in the sand. Do ostriches really bury their heads? No, ostriches do not stick their heads in the sand when frightened. This is a persistent myth, likely originating from an optical illusion. The illusion happens because ostriches dig shallow nests in the ground to lay their eggs and routinely use their beaks to turn and check on them, which can make it look like they're burying their heads. Additionally, when a threat is present, ostriches may lie low and stretch their necks flat on the ground to blend in with their surroundings, creating the impression that their heads are buried. Do you call that an analogy? I think analogy is the wrong word, but that is an interesting way of looking at it. The other interesting thing that I heard, and it could be off, but I think it's right, was that the kill commenced at 6 minutes after 6 p.m. on the 6th of November. So you got your 666, and then someone elaborated and said 333 ostriches. And I don't know if that was the official count or officially killed or what, but there's some numerology that appears to have shown up in this whole thing as well. Franklin Turtle says, I'm sure a smart person would have hid some of those eggs. Right? Rock Girl Days replied and said, Japan has many. Robert Steele said the RCMP and the CFIA approached suddenly without warning, which means that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to hide the eggs. But yeah, if you had the time to in advance, you definitely would have. Hey Mike, we've got Mike Herrera in the house. Good to see you, Mike. Okay, so now for anyone here that runs a YouTube channel, you can get these comments in here in different language. And I think the way to do that is you highlight it and right click and then go translate to English. And I don't think you guys can see that, but it popped up. It gave me, so it says that this is a reply in Romanian from Carmen Moldavenu. And his reply, translated to English, is: there was no infection. The ostriches were poisoned to then stage the entire spectacle of death, the horrible civilization of the third millennium. That's interesting. I have seen and heard a few people say that, like, even, the ducks that were infected that landed in the fields was a setup. But I definitely cannot verify that. But that's interesting that we have someone from Romania weighing in on it in that way. We've got another comment from Franklin Turtle. Franklin Turtle says the Humane Society is in lockstep with this mandate. They old now be called it he inhumane. I think we got some typos in here. Let's see if I can decipher it. Is in lockstep with this mandate. Okay, they could now be called in Humane Society no respect for the animals or their owners. And then he adds on, city dwellers best beware, this isn't just a rural thing. And I can see that too, yeah. It's been decades and decades and decades that they've been really trying to get people to give up their farms and move into the city. And I agree. I think the city is a good, if you want to live in the city, it's a good way to be trapped. Thanks for those comments, Franklin Turtle. Okay, then Prospector James Marshall says, we want to know who pulled the trigger. Is the CFIA trained to use firearms? He got 17 thumbs up on that one. I'll give him another one. I suspect that the CFIA does have a division that is, like, their cull division, but I don't know. The way the story went, the way I heard it, was just like what Lisa says here, and that was that they called in marksmen. I think it was like a third party that was contracted. Yeah, and so, okay, here's discussion. Were they freelancers or who was it? Cheryl Carey says probably RCMP. Yeah, I don't think it was military, but I did hear or read a comment on someone else's live stream that was speculating that it may have been like a military company. Hey, Scrapper. Oh, have you had ostrich? Yeah, I know there are ostrich farms that are out there specifically for food. And the eggs too. Like, one ostrich egg can feed 6 or 7 people. Hey, Boogie Juggy. Yeah, thanks for coming into the live stream here. We saw your comment there and we appreciated it. Welcome in, DeCat. Always good to see DeCat. There's an intelligent guy that's been through a lot. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Karen Mullen says ostriches ended up in Surrey, Super Save. Surrey is a city in British Columbia. I heard it was somewhere near the ocean that they were being stored. But I still haven't heard anything come out on that. Elijah replied saying the ostriches are still in bins. Now, this was 5 days ago. Still in bins in the parking lot or Super Save in Surrey. Okay, so the Super Save is like a large box store. It's the 14th now. That evil deed happened. On the 6th that night and again in the morning, as many were still half alive. Okay, so I misread that. He's saying it's the 14th now. That evil deed happened on the 6th that night and again in the morning. Half were still alive. So it looks like 6, 7, 8. 8 days they were sitting in these dumpsters still, by the sounds of it from these comments. G Buddy says, anyone ever had an ostrich burger that had a developed virus protection? Just asking. Anyone ever had an ostrich burger that had a developed virus protection? Just asking. Well, I guess that's a good question, and like my honest answer is I don't think I've ever had ostrich meat in any form, or eggs. But just to be clear, like this farm was not about raising or farming these ostriches for food. It was for health sciences study, and specifically like virology. Thanks for that comment. Polly Fuhaka says there should be a day of mourning for the ostriches and the people who lost them in a tragic, cruel, senseless attack. My condolences. Several prayer emotes. And wow, 18 thumbs up on that one. A day of mourning for the ostriches. It would be a good way to keep awareness around it, for sure. Katie suggested November 6th, which, yeah, that would make sense. And Katie's the daughter of the farm owners. Okay. Yeah, people saying it really should happen. We'll see if it does. I'd like to see some people come to justice and have to answer for this. To me, that's an even higher priority. Okay, so now this comment here got 8 replies. I don't think I'm going to read all of the replies, but we'll see. Obviously, a good comment got 43 thumbs up, and it's from Michelle Peterson, saying supposedly they were hired marksmen, which is a lie, since many ostriches were still alive in the morning, suffering. They killed them in the most inhumane way possible. The CFIA and RCMP are all murderers. And I think that's true too, because they had almost a year to plan this out. And, the 4 weeks leading up to it was the perfect time for them to put the finishing touches on their plan, to make sure that it was done in a humane and in not a cruel manner. And they did the exact opposite. Okay, so there's some going back and forth here, though. Dan says, give me a break. That would be the height of hypocrisy, don't you think? The U.S. has called animals by shooting in the past, particularly for large-scale eradication or population control. During emergencies such as disease outbreaks, the U.S. has also used shooting for large-scale culling to prevent further spread. In 2021 alone, the agency killed over 1.75 million animals, utilizing shooting, including from aircraft, as a method. And so, like, I have seen some comments from people in other countries saying, yeah, Canada, what a freaking thing. But it's not just Canada. This person is, by the sounds of it, talking from experience. It's happening in the United States too. Not the exact same thing, but a very similar thing. The sentiments are the same. We'll add that in there too. Okay. Oh, here, yeah. They're not getting away with this. The Americans are investigating. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, because the Americans have a vested interest in the science that was occurring there as well. We've got another great comment coming up that's got 33 thumbs up on it. I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat that I may have missed. Hey, we've got Jima in the house. Welcome in. And Wild Dragon. Hi. 420, spelled H-I-G-H. Absolutely. Good to see you too. And greetings to anyone else I missed. Hey, why doesn't Jimmy Nana have a wrench? Hold on a second, guys. Um, let's switch that up. I would like Jima to have a wrench. There you go. You should be good now. Glad I caught that. Okay, so Catherine Avery says, I think what happened to the ostriches is awful. It's sickening. Those in the government who allowed this should be replaced. Very evil. They wouldn't let the animals be tested. Something fishy going on. The people who shot the ostriches are evil. They should also be held accountable. Very cruel to do what they did. I pray God would comfort the owners and give them peace. And if they don't know Jesus, they would accept him into their hearts for salvation. Jesus is the answer. They had the ostriches for so long, and their heart must be broken from what happened. It's awful, but it's going to get worse in this world until Jesus comes. And it's sad because, Jesus was already here once. Like, I don't understand why people can't get the drift, and why people reject it. But it's very clear when you see a society going downhill, you can be sure they're not following the teachings of Jesus. Otherwise, the society wouldn't be going downhill. That's my opinion anyway. Right? And Tina says the farmers are all Christian. They hold prayer meetings. Um, you know, and I've heard lots of people say Christianity is under attack, and that it has been for centuries. It'll be nice to you too, says. They're still in the dumpster at the trucking company. Save something. Now, that was 5 days ago. I've actually not received an update on where they are or what's happened to them. I have kept up on many of the reporters, including Rebel News. Their YouTube channel is Rebel News Online. And the Ostrich Farms YouTube channel, which is Universal Ostrich Farms. And I haven't actually heard an update on what's going on with them. Just give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. That was probably, 5 seconds? Hey, Pat. Good to see Pat Evans in here, too. Okay. Here, we've got another comment. This one got 17 thumbs up. I better double check and make sure I didn't. Yeah. I had to cough there, so I muted myself. That's why I was gone. Patricia White says, not even a sparrow falls to the ground without the Father's notice. Satan's hatred against God leads him to hate every object of the Savior's care. He, in brackets Satan, seeks to mar the handiwork of God, and he delights in destroying even the dumb, in brackets unable to speak, creatures. Okay, so that's referenced a book, Desired of Ages, page 356. Thank you for that. That's a very interesting comment. I like it. Thank you, Patricia White. And then we've got people agreeing there. Amen. Sherry says we do not mourn as those who have no hope. 2, the creatures will be restored. Romans 8. And 3, the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. 4, the wicked shall be turned into hell, and all nations that forget God. 5, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. I like that one too. Charlie says, I hope this family sues the Liberal and the CFIA. Yeah, there is an animal rights group here in Canada that is already launching complaints and legal action. That is already happening, and I may actually highlight that later on in this live stream. We'll show it. There's a 2 or 3 minute video on it. Margaret Amina says, sorry, there is no forgiveness for premeditated malice. Accidents can be forgiven under certain circumstances, but this wasn't an accident. Perfectly said, you know. And motive and motivation are a huge part of determining justice, I think. Just in life in general and in the legal system too. Just checking in on the live chat here. Hey, peer reviewer, good to see you. Let's just quick highlight that comment as well. The farm lost their farm property. There are actually 2 parcels due to not paying their property taxes. They lost the property. The house is on due to defaulting on the mortgage. That's the first I heard about that, but it could be. It could be. The truth will come out. Shell Shoemaker says, don't forget all the forest fires. Most wildfires have become borderline extinct. Don't forget all the forest fires. Most wildlife have become borderline extinct due to the forest fires. That's true. And I think that there's a whole lot more they can do to be putting these wildfires out. We know there's weather modification programs that can make a huge difference, but no, what do they give us? A helicopter and a bucket. Come on, man. And we know the wildfire season happens every year. Like, you'd think they'd be planning for it. But yeah, absolutely. And not just Canada, lots of wildfires in the States, in Australia, all over the world. Look at what happened in Hawaii not too long ago. Lahaina. You know, that didn't seem natural either. Thank you for that comment, Cheryl. Super Diane says, Angie Rasmussen calls it the great call that she promotes. How evil of her and the rest of those who supported this. Okay, so there's someone else. Angie Rasmussen apparently is trying to justify the whole thing happening. Thanks for letting us know about that, Super Diane. Rock Girl says Angie was previously with the NIH. Paul is saying there's a Rothschild connection in there as well. Thank you, everybody, for those comments. James Bell says, typical Canadian government, murder birds. What is next? Enough. Yeah, it does seem ridiculous, and it does seem... It seems to me like they're mocking us, you know? There's a million different ways that it could have been done better. And if you look at the comment, I pinned a link to it, to the comment that is most elaborated on trying to justify this whole thing. It still doesn't make any sense that they would do it in this way. They had plenty of time to do this in a much more humane way. And so it's important to separate the 2 different issues. The one is whether or not the birds should have been put down. That's the first issue. The second issue is the manner in which they were put down, whether they should have or shouldn't have. And so that comment that I pinned attempts to address both. And I've just put it there not because I agree with the sentiments of it, but because there's information there and I like to be objective. Jose Frosi says the CFIA are a renegade agency with zero accountability, zero ethics, and zero transparency. The RCMP are complicit, and they let this shit show to happen. The RCMP also harassed, taunted, and threatened the supporters and family. And I've seen that in video. That's verified. This was the largest police operation in BC this year. Think about that. Yep. And I addressed several comments on that same subject last time. It's just insane that that would be the largest police operation all year, and they did it in such an awful way. And I know awful's an understatement. Karen Mullen says, I can't handle it. Very cruel, and I've said lots of things already, and I feel like things change once we fight as a unit together and not back down. And I'm not even a farmer, and I can see everything wrong here. It is the worst thing ever. It is. Like, it just shows you there's no love, there's no caring. If there was love and caring, they would have found a much better way of doing this. And more to the point, I think they would have found a way that the birds wouldn't have needed to be called. So just so you guys know, I believe this is probably going to be the last live stream that I do on, just going through people's comments like this. My next live stream, I think, is going to be actually about addressing that one comment that I've got pinned at the top of the chat and in the description of this. The Lightheart says, you're not alone. I can't get past the appalling, willful cruelty of this heinous event. I'll never forget or forgive the RCMP, the CFIA, or the government. Yes, we need to fight for this. Yeah, if you get enough people all agreeing on the same thing, the government will have to cave. Hey, Crypt, Maria, good to see you. And Evan, welcome in. Why don't they deal with the unsafe supply as cops? I work a block from the shelter, and I hate community. There you go. Yeah, exactly. There's much bigger issues. There's the drug problem. We know there's massive drug problems in British Columbia. Wow. And crime, too. It's getting insane. Largest police operation calling hundreds of ostriches that are healthy. Lana Hill says it's the judges. So the judicial system, also that are all under the control of the government. Where was Pierre Poilievre on this? Eating crickets the whole time. And I'm really disappointed too. I did not hear Pierre Poilievre get up and really put it out there and call them out on what was happening or dig his heels in. I did hear him say something, it almost sounded a little bit flippant, where he said it wasn't done right or it wasn't done proper, but he didn't go into any details, and it was almost like it was a really, really hot potato that he had to take that potato and say that, and then that was it. And like I mentioned on the last live stream about 5 days ago, I watch or listen to the news on two different radio stations every day while I'm eating my lunch for about 20 minutes. And I still have yet to hear either of them mention anything about this. And that's the public broadcast. CBC is the one of them. Canadian Broadcast Corporation, and the other's a local news channel. So yeah, it does look like there's multiple different entities all conspiring. Rudy Poo says 300 is not that many. If there was an issue, each one could be checked individually. Personally, anyone trying to kill ostriches would be burning in hell right now. Anyone trying to kill my ostriches. Okay, so it sounds like Rudy Poo is also an ostrich farmer. And there you go. I agree with that too. They had almost a year. We got 365 days in a year, so say it was even 300. They could have gone at a rate of testing one ostrich per day, and they would have got through all of them in the same amount of time that they just didn't do that. Sorry, I just got to reply to that text message. For anyone here that has a YouTube channel, if you ever go live stream, uh, if you ever have a live stream, put a 1 in the chat if that's when you get the most phone calls and text messages. As soon as you go live. Happens to me quite a bit. Constitutional Stacker came in here and said hi. Hey, Constitutional Stacker, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. For anyone that's fairly new to my channel, it's a variety channel. I cover all sorts of subjects, including music, entertainment, finance, precious metals, dogs and dog walking, and nature as well. I do also like to keep up on some current events, which is really what this section is all about. This is news and current affairs. Anne McClellan says, it's evil, disgusting. Agreed. I agree with that. West Call says, sounds like the saying that Trudeau did with the deer. Sounds like the same thing that Trudeau... Oh, there was that thing, I think it was on Vancouver Island, with some deer, and they actually hired I think it was an American military company, or at least it was an American contract, and they came in with helicopters, and I believe it was machine guns, and laid out a whole whack of deer that I think they thought were sick. There was an issue with them one way or the other. I can see there's a little bit of a similarity in that, like, it's not good optics, and it doesn't seem to be done the right way, and it seems to be cruel. I think the thing with the ostriches was probably even more cruel because it was done at night, and there was no way that the marksman had a way with guns and in that setting and in that format to ensure that the animals didn't suffer. In fact, we can be assured that I'd say at least half of them did suffer terribly. It was Pender Island? Okay. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Sorry I didn't say hi to you earlier, Tom. I'm pretty much focusing on the comments from this previous live stream. And of course, we're capturing the live comments here as well. But I appreciate everybody in here. Yeah, Pat, there was one of the ostriches that got fairly badly injured because the drones were harassing it. I don't know if it broke an ankle or twisted an ankle or something like that, but it did get injured badly, and I think it ended up dying. And that was from the drones harassing the ostriches, and that was well in advance, like many days, if not weeks in advance to this actual massacre that we're talking about. Karen Mullen says, check out Rebel News broadcast when they interviewed the day after in Karen's kitchen with the family and supporters. I did see that. I was considering sharing it on the last live stream that I did, or on this live stream even. But the thing is, the reason I'm not going to share it is because it's crying. It's people mourning the death of, it's basically their family members. Same as if you have a horse ranch or something like that. Like, you care for those animals like their family. They mean next to the world to you. But yes, Rebel News, their YouTube channel is Rebel News Online. And if you scroll down through their videos, you'll see tons of content, including the one where the family is all mourning and crying. And I don't want to share that here in real time, but everyone is more than welcome to go check that out. Um, Good comment. Yeah, anyone, if you need a good cry, some people say, I need to have a good cry. That would be a good video to watch. Brian Evans says, I think that the CFIA is calling because it is the best way to ensure no herd immunity. Right. So if they can perpetually run the virus through flock after flock, a large scale gain of function, and there are many to benefit. The obvious big pharma and the World Health Organization for starters. But it is also the British Columbia Association of Poultry and Eggs and large-scale industrial operations that benefit CFIA and lobby. The CFIA also. If we had smaller, more local and sustainable producers and farms, then there would be less outbreaks, less control, and less profit for corporations. Our farms are forced to buy sterile, non-propagating seeds for crops and rely on chemical fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides because they cannot adapt generation to generation. Much like they killed those ostriches to protect their control. It has nothing to do with public safety, and we have a 1,100 times better chance of dying by lightning strike than we do of avian flu. Great comment. I think you're right on track with that. I don't know all of the details, but it definitely does seem like, as soon as they had a way and proof that these birds generated natural herd immunity, that's when they were really in trouble. That's how it seems. Just give me a quick second, guys. What was their motive? I think that was their motive. What had happened was a small portion of the flock had become infected about a year ago, and they ended up dying. But the rest of the flock overcame it, developed herd immunity, and they were all perfectly healthy. And Peanut, pharmaceutical companies want every living thing to be a perpetual customer, right? They want you in there every year for what's that AC/DC song? Inject the venom. And I think their philosophy is you can't possibly be healthy without us. And I don't know. Are they the cure or are they the disease? So, yeah, I think that the motivation, therefore, is money and power. Thank you once again, Brian Evans, for that comment. We've got another comment here from Charlie. He says, God bless this family, farmers, and anyone who is against this 2030 globalist agenda, antichrist movement. Yeah, and they keep pushing it out. Like, I think there's good resistance to the globalist agenda. And if you like conversations on that, make sure you're subscribed to Independent Men United. She has live streams every week. Usually half of it is music and the other half of it is community conversation for people that aren't scared to discuss the tough topics that a lot of people are scared to discuss. So definitely check out Independent Men United. I try to be there for her entire live stream every week. And at the very least, I'm there for a good chunk of it. And I will also say, if you're West Coast, you'll have a much easier time watching her entire live stream because she's West Coast as well. Unfortunately, I'm on Eastern time, so that makes it late for me. Um, Angela says, horror show. Don't kid yourselves. They loved every moment of their murder spree. They have no conscience because they don't care. They were bullying and taunting the people and owners that were defending those beautiful innocent animals. They probably slept like babies after their bloodbath. I don't know. I've seen some comments saying, people saying that they hope that they have nightmares about it, and I have a feeling that they might. But you know what happens once, if you've sold your soul, then you can become immune to that. Um, but I don't know. A lot of these people who have sold their soul end up in rehab with heavy duty problems. Heavy duty problems. You're welcome, Indy. For sure. Yeah, Independent Many United, great YouTube channel, great person, and she's really big on building a community as well. And she's got a backup Rumble channel as well for in the event that her YouTube channel gets taken down, and that's Crimson Veritas on Rumble. Leyland says the ostriches were family. This was heartless. Find out who is responsible and put them in jail. People are fed up with bad decisions from the top. They, the elected, are to do what the majority wants. No one wants to see this horrific outcome. We got a 10-4 on that. I agree, and lots of people, I think, have named the entities and some of the people that are responsible, collectively and individually. What's that one saying? If you really want something screwed up, get the government to do it for you. Thank you, Leyland. We've got another comment from Franken Turtle. Franken Turtle, it's Franklin Turtle, says, word is the Food Government Agency are now going after a Resk farmer in Vancouver as an animal got tested, and now they want to kill everything there as well. I had not heard about that, but I believe it. A lot of the times I think they're doing it as a test case to see what people will put up with. And Janet replied to that saying citizens should be showing support to these farms in droves like the trucker convoy. Yeah, and even more so. Like, I think Neil put something in the chat early on before I even went live on this live stream. And I think it was Mahatma Gandhi that said it. It was a quote to the effect of, you can tell the maturity and you can judge a society by the way they treat their animals. Thanks for all the comments, Franklin Turtle. Yeah, it wasn't about meat, though. It wasn't about the meat in this case. This is about the pharmaceutical companies, because this farm was specifically in the business of health sciences research. That's what it was about. And, you can tell even more because they had all the eggs of these ostriches that developed herd immunity, and that's what they were going to be researching, like for the antibodies and all that would be in the eggs. And guess what? The CFIA stole all the eggs too. And the eggs aren't sick. Hey, Anarchy Television, good to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Okay, so Rodney Reed says it was a ritual slaughter by sickos. You got 14 thumbs up on that comment. Yep, a lot of sickos. And I'm not going to go into other subjects, but there's lots of other subjects that are in the mainstream news right now that also verify that it's like almost everybody in power is in on it. I don't want to falsely accuse anybody or put anything, prejudice anybody, but I do think the vast majority of those that are in control and running the majority of things in the world are sickos. None replies saying some of these people need to be in mental institution for the criminally insane, because there's nobody with a normal thinking pattern that would do something like this. Well, and what do they say? Like, you can tell when children, like children at a young age, you can tell the ones that are likely to become psychopaths because they'll be the ones that are catching the bugs and ripping the legs off of them, torturing them, um, or taking the magnifying glass to them, or putting them in the microwave and getting great joy out of it. Um, and it does. It seems like that's the type of people that are doing this. They grew up that way, and they've been like that their whole life, and they don't know any different, or they would have apologized, or tried to do something a little bit different. You know. Yep, it is all over the place, Bill. Good to see you, Bill 457, and everybody else I missed. Paul Beatty says it was 400, so we're getting different numbers. But, just like with any farm, the numbers do change. I'm not about to try to verify it, and in fact, a lot of the information seems to be getting covered up right now. But in any case, Paul says it was 400 healthy, beautiful, innocent, ancient ostriches. King Rothschild, Chucky, is to blame. So I think he's talking about formerly Prince Charles, now King Chucky, is to blame for their horrific slaughter. Here in Canada, we own nothing, especially our properties. I think he meant own. We get typos in here from time to time, folks. It's okay. But yeah, I think he means here in Canada we own nothing, especially our properties. That's a good point. If you own something, you shouldn't have to pay tax on it every year, should you? The fact that you have to pay tax or they take it back is an indication that you don't actually own it. You may have title to it, but it's neat how we're misled. Goes on to say this is not a free country, people. The government does not care who they murder. If they can kill children, you think they will care about murdering animals? Not. Wake up, humans. Yeah, it's a very, very sad state of affairs. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. I have to redo that. Good thing is it only takes a second. Here we go. Welcome in anybody that I haven't said hi to. If you're new to the channel, this is a variety channel. It's not often I cover heavy subjects. Usually it's more dogs, dog walking, music and entertainment, finance and precious metals. But I do like to cover subjects on nature and current affairs as well. Elijah says they did it after dark, close to midnight. My understanding was it started, now this was West Coast time, British Columbia, but that it started at 6:06 on the 6th day of November. And it did go on for several hours before they shut down, and then it restarted in the morning so that they could kill the birds that were injured or that they didn't kill throughout the night. Thanks for that, Elijah. Talent says the pharmacy who is behind all that care only about the money. The government is corrupt, and as long as we have so many people that follow their orders, remember COVID, brutality, killing the ostriches is the second crime. But this is not the end, people. Remember, pharmacy needs sick people and don't want any cures or natural immunity. It's time to wake up. Hope karma gets them. My deepest condolences to the ostrich farmers. And yes, my condolences to them as well. Thoughts and prayers going out to them and everyone that's been supporting them. I think that their hearts were in the right place, and they made the mistake of signing on. with a government program. And, you know, to add insult to injury, it also just shows, you know, signing on with the government and government programs. Make sure you read the fine print. Always read the fine print. What the saying there is, the large print giveth, and the fine print taketh away. Karen Mullen says, revolution and a change of political structure considering how history has played out so far. We got more sirens going by here again, guys. Just ignore the sirens. They're not after me. Yeah, and I think that, like, right now, you can look at a lot of different countries, and a huge percentage of the employment of many countries is government workers. It shouldn't be that way. You know, government should be lean and mean, in my opinion. And by when I say mean, I mean it in a figurative way, not literal. And I think in some ways, you know, they take it literally, the mean part. Hey, LEL, we've got Elle in here. We've got John Camper in the house. Welcome in anybody else that I missed. Sebastian, good to see you. Okay. Okay, so now I've got another comment here. This one only got one thumbs up, but that's because it's in a different language. So let's translate it to English. Hey, where did it go? Okay, I think it just translated it for me. This is from Carmen. It says, wouldn't it be simpler to ban any type of experiment and research on any species of birds or animals? God knew better how to balance species to live in harmony without threats. Let's see what money the whole crowd of researchers and scientists will live on. Humans have become the most dangerous and degrading beasts. And that's just it, you know, like, what's the Hegelian dialectic is problem, action, solution. And what they do is they create a problem, and then they announce the problem and try to get support to combat the problem that they created. And what that does is it gives them the ability to get support for their solution, which is their game plan, right? But it's usually misrepresented, and they get the support of the people, and the people sign on not realizing that they signed their own death warrant, figuratively. Thanks for that comment, Carmen. Rock Girl says the ostriches were their pets. This murder was brutal. First they came for the ostriches. ... Something's going on with YouTube here again with these thumbs up. But that's okay, we got it. Thank you, Rock Girl, for that. I think there's a warning in that too, right? First they go after the pets. What are they going to go after next? We got a ton of replies here and 45 thumbs up for this comment from Betty Jane Cecil. Betty Jane says, this wasn't about avian flu, the killing of healthy ostriches, no retesting, and then taking the eggs which have immunity, antibodies. Big pharma, big money, corrupt government. Now that is a very concisely composed comment. I like it. I like the comment. I don't like the fact that it's true. I'd love to say it's not true, but I'm pretty sure that it is. I'm not going to go read through all of the replies there, but you guys can check out my last live stream on this, and you'll see all these comments in there. And it was this one here I'm circling right here. The title of the live stream was Canadian Massacre of Healthy Ostriches. My subscribers are angry. That's my last live stream on this subject, and I'm going through the comments on that. Thank you, Betty. Hey, Evan. How would you ever report a sick animal now? Yeah, like, yeah. Now you'd be wanting to say, no, my animal's not sick. Like, I'm sure people are going to be afraid to take their dog into the vet now, saying my dog's sick, and be afraid they'll just put it down. You know? Oh, sorry, we gave it the wrong shot. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get people scared like that, but it does feel like that. And my understanding is, so under the program that this farm signed up on, my understanding is they were supposed to report if any of the animals get sick, and they didn't report it. And that it actually ended up being a neighboring farm, not a direct neighbor, but a neighboring farm that reported them to the CFIA saying, hey, they've got birds that are sick over there. And I think that's part of the thing that really ticked off the CFIA right off the bat. Hey, Matt Wing, good to see you. Welcome in. I don't even trust vets either, Evan. And you know what? Like I'm in the pet services business. I walk dogs and do dog sitting for a living. And I can tell you, I've been doing that for approximately 15 years now. The last 5 years, I've never seen so many customers that have their food on veterinary exclusive diet. You can't buy that pet food anywhere else. Hey, Jason Gaudette, good to see you. And like, it doesn't make sense. Why would so many animals need to be on a veterinary exclusive diet? Well, I don't know, but it sounds to me like it's residual income. Sounds to me like they're going for residual income. Connie Sue says, hey JM, this was diabolical to see. Video of her in the moment. And there was video, there has been video that's circulated. A lot of it was captured on Rebel News. Their YouTube channel is Rebel News Online. And there was also quite a bit of it captured on the farm's own YouTube channel, which is Universal Ostrich Farms. That's their YouTube channel name. The first Manticore says, the impression I get is that this action was a warning to anybody who hesitates to obey or attempts to defend their rights. It does seem that way. It does seem that way. Yep. It's a warning. It shows that they're cold and they're calculated. Joseph Kroskree says, it was about Big Pharma taking their bodies to get the antivirus. The antibodies. Think about it. CFIA has killed more than just these birds. Yeah, like, the more I look into it, the more it seems like a very, very evil entity. We've got lots of replies on this one here. This is a comment from Nun. Says, I've noticed that people across Canada are shocked, and they don't know what to think that their government would do something like this. No Canadian would ever expect their federal government to do something like this. Like, where do we turn? What do we do when you turn to the government for help and kindness, and they turn around and do this? The police force, who we expect to be there to protect us, is now against us. Let me reread that last sentence. The police force who we expect to be there to protect us is now against us. That's better. What do you do? They caused a lot of mental anguish to the family on that farm. But they also caused a lot of mental anguish to a lot of Canadians because this is what Canada is now. It's beyond shocking. Yeah, I don't think that it perfectly exemplifies what Canada is now, but it definitely gives a little bit of insight to what's happening um, around the edges. I think the Trucker Freedom um, rally was another good sort of insight into it. Great comment. Mike Hansen says, while toxic, deadly fentanyl floods the streets of Canada, carte blanche, 14 million, 14,000 OD deaths across BC, so overdose deaths across BC in the last 8 years. Mike Hansen, whistleblower. Thanks, Mike. So it looks like we've got Mike Hansen weighing in on this, and he obviously would like to see some of the resources put towards saving some of the humans as opposed to killing the ostriches. So, all these humans are dying from these fentanyl overdoses, and what does the government do? Gives them more fentanyl. Right. So it's like they're in the business of death. Very, very sad. Thanks for everything you do, Mike Hansen, to try to support changing things for the better. Cyber Curtain Twitcher says governments are not there to help you or carry out the wishes of citizens. That's right. Government is broken down into two words: govern, which means to control. That's what governing is. And meant, governmental, applies to the mind. So it's actually mind control. Somehow that comment isn't working out the way I wanted it. I'll catch it on this next one. A Boutino says this killing makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Testing does. That's right. Um, Now, there is a comment that I pinned to the top of the live chat, and it's in the description as well. And it is one of only two comments out of over 250 comments that I got that tries to justify why and how this culling was done. And it does not address why they didn't do any additional testing, and they should have. Sherry Thomas, or Sherry Thomas, says this was all to show you they have control and they don't care about your opinions or protests. They're going to go through with their agenda whether you like it or not. You need to remove these people that have been put into power. That's right. I think that many governments around the world have been infiltrated by communists and Satanists. Not for the people. I agree with that. Yep, don't worry. It's for your. It's always for our safety, Peanut. The nut house knows. Oh, and welcome back, you too. 1960, one of the moderators on Universal Ostrich Farms channel. Good to see you. It's good to connect with you. You too, 1960. Good to see you here again. And so, just a public service announcement. Any of the comments that U2 1960 puts in the channel, it is going to be from direct knowledge. For that commenter, works directly with and directly knows these farmers. And so also U2 1960, feel free to drop any links that you want. I made sure that you had a wrench for this. Let me double check and make sure it's showing up there. Yeah. Really good to have you here. And I'm sorry that I didn't say hi to you last time. I'm trying to get better at this. As Peanut says, do better. Do better, JM. Let me just see what happened here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so thank you for that comment, Sherry. Here we've got a comment from a YouTube icon and a dash. That's the channel name. Welcome in YouTube, dash. Says they tested 2 dead birds a week after they had died, and they used a ramped up vivid test kit. This was shut down because of the research being conducted with these birds that went against pharma. Okay, so this person appears to want to be anonymous, but does appear to have information saying that they were testing birds, and the results were, by the looks of it, saying that the results were coming up clean, that there was no issue with them, and that they were perfectly healthy, and then they stopped doing the tests thereafter. Rudolph Scharf says, why is it that we don't hear anything about the massacre of the ostriches in BC from David Eby? I don't know. And I would go on to say, how come we're not hearing about it even on the mainstream news? There's very, very little about it on the mainstream news. I'm just trying to look up. Okay, so David Eby is the premier of British Columbia. I would say because he's probably complicit in the whole thing. You know, doesn't mean that he went out of his way to make it happen, but he's probably doesn't want to be associated with it right now, because there's a major uprising. Lots of people are pissed about this. Thanks for that comment, Rudolph. Robert Steele says the Terry Armbruster family. Okay, naming names. The Terry Armbruster family, nearby neighbors of the ostrich farm, admitted today that they called in the CFIA. They just admitted it online earlier today. Now, this isn't telling me when that comment was put in. Why are some of these not showing it? YouTube's a little bit glitchy. I did read that comment earlier as well. So that is also kind of highlighting that it wasn't the ostrich farmers that called the CFIA. It was a neighbor that called that in. And my understanding is the ostrich farmers had engaged in a contract with the government for this farm being under the use for health sciences. And then now we're getting information that that contract was dissolved. But within that contract, apparently, they were supposed to self-report any illnesses to the government or to the CFIA, and apparently they didn't. So it was a neighbor that did it. This commenter, Robert Steele, is saying it's the Terry Armbruster family, nearby neighbors, that did that. And so this is probably part of what really got the CFIA upset off the bat, that the ostrich farmers themselves didn't report it. I don't know this for sure. That's just what I'm hearing. And like we've said before, the truth will come to light. Hey, Timothy. We've got 90% junk silver in here. Welcome in 90% junk silver. We got lots of precious metals advocates in here too. A lot of people that don't trust the government don't trust the government's money either. We, we can trust the money that they had up until 1965, right? Silver and gold is what our currency is supposed to be. We don't have that anymore. So welcome in everyone from the precious metals community as well. I'm an advocate for people trying to accumulate some physical silver and gold as well as platinum. I also like copper and nickel. All these metals have come out of our currency. So now Wes Call says the Canadian government needs to be downsized by 90%. Yeah, I actually think even 95%. Some people would say they should be completely eliminated, but I do think there's a place for it, for a government, but they need to be working and serving the people, right? I strongly believe that if the government cannot balance their budget and they can't have operations going that are making the people happy, they shouldn't get a paycheck. I don't think they should get paid at all, right? Then you can have volunteers come in that actually care. I think too many of them sign a deal with the devil and then they just go in and get their paycheck, and that's wrong. But yeah, a nice downsize by 90% would be nice. Thanks for that, West Call. We've got a comment from Kay saying it's going to get worse. Farmers are to feed their cattle certain nutrients, or cattle will be culled or won't be able to sell cattle to market. See? So the government has all these programs for farmers now, and if the farmers don't submit to what these programs and protocols are, then the government can effectively shut them down, and that is bullshit, in my opinion. Thank you for that comment, Kay. I think the channel names just aren't showing up here properly for some reason. It's probably a YouTube glitch, but it could just be that's how you set your profile name as. It looks like Christine Smith made a comment, but I don't see it. I don't see it. Lisa says, I think the CFIA took blood samples from the flock when they took control of the farm. I also believe they sedated and removed some of these birds in those blue bins before the call. It does not look like 330 birds dead in that kill pen the CFIA built. And yet there's lots of conspiracy theories and lots of different theories on what the numbers were, even the gender, like the male to female ratios were a lot different than what we would expect. Definitely a lot of funny business going on. There's minimal transparency from what I can tell. Here we've got a comment that got 12 thumbs up saying, so tragic when the government takes over. Yep. Once again, if you want something screwed up really bad, get the government involved. It's a sure way to screw it up. I would say 95% of the problems that people have been created by the government. And then they create these issues, and then they say, oh, look at these issues that have been created by something. They'll say it's created by something else, right? And they'll use their division, and then they'll say, but don't worry, we've got a solution for it. And then the solution makes it even worse. So, yeah, definitely agreeing with that. Cybersin says the veil is thinning. People can see through all evil. Here, let me put this in first. We've still got a very high ratio of comments here that are upset with what happened and how it happened, and very, very, very few comments trying to justify it. Cyberson says the veil is thinning. People can see through all the evil and corruption and the absolute control. These innocent ostriches were slaughtered mercilessly. They were dancing in the pen before they were showered with hundreds of rounds of bullets for hours, while they cried out, falling over their flock. These agencies do not want herd immunity or natural remedies, and these healthy birds were sacrificed as a result. All about power, greed, and money. CFIA and all that had a hand in this evil, inhumane act is forever on their hands. Not something to be proud of. They traumatized poor family forever that loved their babies and begged them to stop. The ostriches were gentle and innocent, and they were brutally murdered. No uniform or money is ever worth it. They had a choice and chose to be part of this heinous act. Bad karma. People stand up, be heard, or it is domestic pets, or worse. Besides your freedom, your properties, your very soul. This was a very dark day, but in the end, truth and light can triumph over darkness. I hope so. I hope so. Really well composed comment, Cybersind. Thank you for that. I certainly agree with your comment and its sentiments. And Price says, this went way too far. Most disgusting murder of these beautiful birds. They were to protect people from all kind of bad out there. Canada's laws is the most corrupted. Anything that is good, they want to destroy. They need to be taken down. All involved, I want them to pay for what they have done. Murderers. Yeah, and in that as well, there needs to be some sort of a mechanism put in place so this cannot happen again. You know, I don't think that they necessarily need to be made an example of, because I don't think that two wrongs make a right, but I think that they are absolutely need to be held accountable and responsible. And I think they should be responsible financially, and in other ways as well. And there should be mechanisms put in place to make sure that this type of thing never happens again. Certainly not in this way. We've got another comment here saying 400 exactly in total. They keep decreasing the number. 400. When the CFIA took custody, they had 399 birds. Their drone killed one earlier by flying so low over it. Okay, so we're getting a few people have said it was 400, and I've had lots of people say that yes, one of the ostriches did die while under the custody of the CFIA, specifically due to harassment from one of their drones. And the 4 weeks that the CFIA had custody of those ostriches, they were not getting fed and water and cared for the way that they should have been. They were already being mistreated, debatably, cruelly, for 4 weeks in advance to the massacre. Tina Owing says, now they are believed to be sitting in containers in Surrey at Super Save lot. Yes. We've had a few people say that. I did watch a video of someone that actually was staked out there watching them, and actually they did a live stream from their vehicle, just keeping an eye on the containers. So there's definitely people investigating this, and I look forward to more information coming out. Former proud Canadian says numerous people have been charged with animal cruelty in BC under the Criminal Code of Canada. How does the Canadian Federal Inspired Assassination? Okay, so he's changed the acronym. from Canadian Food Inspection Agency to Canadian federal inspired assassins. How do they get away with a mass murder? Those accountable for this horrific massacre will all return back to hell, but not soon enough. You know, all it should have taken was one person standing up and saying, you know what, guys, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing it this way. But every single person involved didn't do that and took the approach of just following orders, which is, in my opinion, becoming more and more of a massive cop-out. That's a cop-out, saying just following orders, right? If you get an order and it sounds like it's way, way, way off, I don't think you should just go ahead and follow the order. I think that you should stand up and say, whoa. Either that or you're a part of the freaking problem. Charlie says good evening. Hey, Charlie. Better evening for me than it is for those ostriches. Thanks for the comment. Alicia Harwood says they need to be held accountable, liable financially. Yep, and more too, because financial repercussions is still not going to remedy the situation. That family's never going to get their babies back. It doesn't matter if you give them $1 trillion, they'll never get them back. They're gone. Where did it go here? Evan says, here's what I found. Compensation is conditional. The CFIA's compensation scheme is tied to a farm's timely compliance with the agency's directives. Okay, so that means if you're under one of the programs and you're getting paid under the program, your payment is based on compliance. That's what it sounds like, and that's everything governmental, I think. Thank you for that comment. Appreciate it. Hey, Decat. Decat says you don't leave potential pathogens laying around to disease control for any reason or cause mitigation and control of disease. That's right. Always good to see Decat. Chris Buschow says, how about naming the current commissioner of the RCMP who is stationed at D Division in Winnipeg, Manitoba? He most definitely would have been aware of this situation, monitoring its political ramifications. They may have even have borrowed some of the tactical trained officers from their local unit here. Just saying, for a friend. Okay, so there are people that are commenting from like anonymous channels and putting in stuff like this without, wanting to get too specific. But we are getting a lot of good information here, more certainly quality information than we'd get if we were watching the mainstream news. And so I appreciate all of my awesome subscribers, people that are putting in well thought out comments. And I do go back through the live stream and I watch the whole thing, even though I'm not able to keep up with the live chat. So if there's anything else, I've at least absorbed that information and can potentially address that in the future. Thank you, Chris Bouchard-Lapointe, or Lapointe, depending on how you pronounce that. Nomi Nomo says 1,000% proof. Our government is evil and absolutely despise the public. And they're not even hiding it anymore. Now, they did try to hide it. They tried to conceal it. That's what all those bales of straw were about, and like a massive perimeter around the area. But what they didn't realize was that there was private individuals that had their own drones with fantastic zoom capabilities that still captured what was going on. But yep, it's another sign that they just don't care. They're on their own agenda. And I've said this many times in other live streams too, and that is we don't get to vote for the policies that are put in place. We never get a voter's card on, would you like to see this happen or that happen or weigh in on this subject. You never get to vote on that. All we get to do is vote for the person or the party that's going to implement it. And, a lot of us do believe that it's a uniparty. It's actually a global control scheme right now. And it appears to be segregated out into different countries, but they're really all in on it together. And we see that on lots of different subjects. Tina Bren says, what a nice photo, ostrich angels. Right, so Tina's commenting on the thumbnail that I had for that live stream, which was a flock of ostriches in heaven with halos. That's what that was. Just give me a second. That's right, Evan. Yeah, so the farm had their own security cameras and everything. For years they had that up for their own reasons. And when the CFIA and the RCMP came in, they snipped, cut down, and or disabled all, I believe it was all, if not all, most of the farmers' cameras, which just shows they don't want any transparency as to what's going on at all. They didn't need to do that, other than if they're trying to protect their own interests as usual. I got a comment from profile picture is G saying thanks JM. You're welcome. LEL says it's very frustrating. And she got 12 thumbs up on that comment. It is frustrating, and that's why I'm not going to focus on this all the time. But I did on that first live stream I did on this subject. I got over 100 comments. On the second one, I got over 150. And so I just felt it was time to address these again. Here, Nasilla says U.S. And Canadians are outraged, or the other way of reading that is us Canadians are outraged. I would say most people in general, especially anyone that has a heart, anyone that believes in the power of love, is also outraged. Thank you for that comment, Nasilla. Karen Mullen says, I've been watching Rebel News and David Creighton, and yes, it feels like a practice session. It does. It was not nicely orchestrated. They had all the time in the world to do this in a decent way. And there was lots of other remedies, call it remedies, ways to have dealt with this situation. There's not testing any of the birds and then just massacring them all doesn't make sense. And I mentioned it on a previous live stream, but there was a good meme that was out there, and it just has a picture of an ostrich. There's a caption bubble, and the caption says, if someone in your family got sick a year ago, would you kill the whole family? Right? Doesn't seem very logical. Here we've got a comment from B. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just do something here and see if this fixes it. Okay, here's from Bill457. Okay, so now this comment that he's put in here is regarding the last video that I put up an hour or so ago, which I pinned the link to in the top of chat, and it's in the description here, showing the one of two well, the most elaborate comment that attempted to justify the reason that these ostriches were massacred and how it was done. So always good to see Bill 457. Talent says, thanks, JM, to read some of the comments and to show people, show what people think about it. Personally, I'm very upset about so much brutality. Yeah, it's weird, you know, like so many movies, video games, everything. It's all violence, violence, violence. And I think a lot of people are numb to it. But I can tell a lot of my subscribers are not numb to it. They're still sensitive. And it reminds me, if you guys have never heard Jewel Kilcher's song, she's a pretty well-known musician. I think the title of the song is I'm Sensitive. If you've never heard that song, check it out. And if any of my mods want to look up Jewel Kilcher's YouTube channel and search out the video I'm Sensitive, that that is a good video to check out on this level, right? Some people are just numb to it. Brian Evans says, thanks, JM. You are welcome. Thank you, Brian, for being here and for your support. Frostflower says, I want to see justice done. Nothing will bring back the lives of those poor ostriches, but there needs to be justice for this torment and this great loss to the farmers. Yep, and to humanity, too. They were in the business of health sciences research on that farm, and they had a flock of approximately 300, maybe 400 ostriches that developed natural herd immunity. And there were eggs that would have also had that immunity, and those have all been stolen. The lives were taken and the eggs were stolen. Mind Channel says, good morning, Sir JM. Thank you, Mind Channel. And she's replying to that one comment that attempted to justify what's going on. Bill 457 says, what happened with the ostriches? We still don't know. We still don't know. Okay, so I'm pleased to report we've caught up on all the comments on that last live stream now. So let's take that off of there. I just want to see what we've got here. Would make a good t-shirt. Oh, I'm too slow on getting that comment. I'm not sure what. Oh, okay, I know what you mean. That meme. That meme would make a good t-shirt. Yes, U269 it would. I just want to see if I can switch this one thing around. I'm not happy with. Let me just see here. Yeah, I think I like that way of showing the comments the best. Okay, we'll put these comments back on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop the link here for if anybody wants to join the panel and discuss this. It's a Restream link if you're used to StreamYard or Restream. If you click on that link right there that I've highlighted, and I know you even from in this chat, then I'll bring you up and we can discuss. And if not, that's okay too. There's still more I can do. I just want to switch. And we'll put that one on. Stop sharing that. There we go. Shadowwork says, and that's the sad truth. They won't tell us about. And the crazy crap they're pulling out of everyone. Their veins are like totally clogged. So Anne says she lives in a rural area and farmers feed families, and many are dropping, unfortunately. Oh yeah, the family farms have been getting split up, broken up, and or sold for years. For years. Okay. I'm going to do one more thing here, and I hope you like it. It's just going to take a minute. Hope you guys can all stick around for another couple minutes here. I've got something to share with you that I actually did a while ago, but it's just it's perfect timing for this. So let's bring it up. For anyone that's relatively new to my channel, as I mentioned before, it is a variety channel. I cover subjects of dogs, dog walking, precious metals and finance, music and entertainment, as well as nature and current affairs. And so here's a song Johnny Cash cover song that I sang. It's God's Gonna Cut You Down, and I think it's perfect for this. Let me just read this here first. From U2 1960 Jam. Yes, the farm has been using the darkness to produce some pretty amazing stuff. Yep. What did we get? Shadowwork says, fear not. Good news, as a believer, we win. We will win in the end. As man thinks, so he or she is. Nice. Hi, Karen. Yes, we did read your comment. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on in Surrey now. This live stream was just about me going through the comments from my last live stream. There was quite a bit of information in there. You're welcome to go back on the replay. I'm not completely up to date on it right now, but any link that U2 1960 here drops in the chat is going to be a reputable link. Feel free to check that out. Rebel News Online is another YouTube channel that's been covering this story even a lot more than me. And Universal Ostrich Farms YouTube channel has also been covering it. Appreciate everybody here. So I'm going to hit this, and that can be our outro. I'm only streaming at 720, so it's pointless for it to be on high definition. Here we go, guys. Here's a song to the CFIA, the RCMP, and the Canadian government, and my thoughts on their future status for doing this. Enjoy. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God will catch you down. Sooner or later, God will catch you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, thought I heard the shuffle of angels' feet. He called my name and my heart stood still when he said, JM, go do my will. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Tell him that God's gonna cut him down. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God will cut you down. Sooner or later, God will cut you down. Well, you may throw your rock, hide your hands, working in the dark against your fellow man, but as sure as God made black and white, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God will cut you down. Sooner or later, God will cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut you down. Tell him that God's gonna cut you down. Tell him that God's gonna cut you down. Yes, indeed. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Curious Georgia, Ann Garvey, DeCat, Shadowwork, Timothy, Karen Mullen, U2 1960, Niels Hahn Dynasty, Mike Herrera, and everybody else that was here earlier. I know we had Indy, Snooks, Bill 457, Evan, Shadowwork, Margaret Amina. Thank you so much, everybody. And do check out the link that I pinned at the top of the live chat. It's like a 30-second video. It's just a screenshot of the one comment that I got, one of two, but it was the most elaborate, that attempted to justify what was done and how it was done. And I also put the link in the description of this live stream as well. And feel free to put a comment in there. I'd like to do a live stream of people addressing each of the talking points that attempted to justify it. So thanks again, everybody. Much love and much blessings to you all. And yes, do keep the faith.